Hello guys! Welcome everybody to Mando Monday. This is the series where you guys ask the questions and I, of course, answer them. This can be to do with anything related to Counter-Strike, Global Offensive, CSGO investing, or any current or future update related one, if that's Source 2, an operation, or something we all hope to see very soon before the Paris Major in just a couple months, that being the Anubis collection, because we have to get one at some point in time. Now, if you guys have any questions regarding any of the things we just discussed, possibly something very niche in the CSGO scene, something in the background or to do with me, leave it down below this comment section or any other one of my videos. Ask Mando, then ask your questions. It's usually easiest and best for me to find it that way. And this week's questions is talking about the stability of the CSGO market, because I feel like things are very inflated, and Valve's questionable decision making with certain situations that have been going on in the game.
Now today's video sponsor is of course SkinsMonkey. SkinsMonkey is currently the easiest and also fastest way you can buy, but most importantly trade your CSGO skins. All you have to do is make sure you have your trade link, and on your first trade, if you have a leftover balance, it goes towards your current balance that can be used the next time you end up trading skins. It has 3 ways you can inspect, but most importantly has a very in-depth inspect feature that you can see corners on a karambit, for an example, that you can't really see otherwise unless you have the item in game. If you end up topping up your balance, make sure to use promo code MANDO to get up to a 35% deposit bonus and a free $5 on the first trade.
Now, no PSA this week, we're just gonna hop right into the questions. Our first one up here is more of a comment than any question. I can't imagine losing $700,000 hacked and sold. I was hacked and $700 was stolen and thought that was pretty bad, but $700K, that's pain. And well, if you guys don't know what this guy's referring to, I made a video just a few days ago on the newest CSGO website hack. This has happened to CS Money, Tradeit.gg, and probably a few others here and there. But CSGO XO got hacked, $700,000 was stolen, and they didn't even know about it for the first few days, most likely until they did some budgets. They shut down the site and they found the 3 people, but they already sold the skins off, so they made the money. Valve ended up going in when the website told them, and instead of getting the skins back or giving them back to them, they just deleted the skins. Though that sounds kind of good, people ended up buying those, and probably for a decent market price as well. Maybe like 10% off, but they still paid thousands of dollars for these things and they're just gone from their inventory. The websites at the end of the day have to come in and pay those fees. Pretty much paid what they got stolen from. And in this comment, he's feeling bad for the website that lost $700K. Though I do. This goes for any single website. Any trading or buying and selling marketplace for your CSGO items, let alone any item on Steam, should buy and hire people to have the best security on their websites. This doesn't happen. And throughout the past couple of years, these websites that have been hacked, people finding little exploits and they can get free stuff. At the end of the day, it's the website owner's fault. Now, if it was the fault on Steam and Valve, they should take that hit, come out and say that, but that's never and probably will never happen to be the case. Reasons why they don't get this better security: it costs a load of money. You have to hire a lot of people, program it and code it into your site, which I know sucks and definitely isn't worth as much as these people are losing, like this $700K and over $2 million with CS Money. Now, our next question is also more of a comment, but I think it's very important for people wanting to buy and sell, mainly sell on the Steam market, especially in that higher quantity. This thread started from mobile recordings. Valve is so irresponsible. The people who bought said items get banned. It's Valve's fault in the end. Valve's solution for everything is banning their customers, question mark. They're so disrespectful. And this guy followed this comment up with something very good and pretty much how I agree. I thought about a case investment, wanted to buy 1,000 Broken Fang cases, and let's just say I accidentally sold them on the Steam market. There's a very good chance that person or myself, for an example, would get banned for price manipulation. And he says, actually, this may happen to everyone. And I completely agree. So I think this has always been a pretty big problem and thing in general, but it's been a lot more vocal with people on Twitter and with certain hypes that have happened. So the AUG Storm, the P250 Stand Dune, probably the 2 most recent notorious incidences that happened recently anyway, where people who maybe have a dormant account, barely play CSGO, play once a month, they see that they have an AUG Storm because it was a 3-cent skin. It went up to $6. They're like, okay, I'm gonna sell this. Maybe have 3 of them because it's a pretty common drop. They sell them for $5 and they get banned, and someone who's not that technical and doesn't know what to do with contacting Steam support is gonna have some difficulty. 99.9%, if not 100% of the time, if you're innocent, you're gonna get unbanned anyway, and it's hard for Valve to tell even if you're guilty. But this kind of goes back to a discussion. Does Valve know the difference between market manipulation and someone just selling off a bunch of items or possibly buying things up? I know for a fact right now, for example, patches. If I went into the Stockholm market right now and bought up all the patches then resold them, there's a decent chance I could get banned because I'd probably list them for thousands of dollars more. Now, would I do that? No. But it's just a prime example of what can happen if you buy up all the quantity that doesn't have very much. Same thing goes with cases. You have 1,000 Chroma 2 cases, or like this guy said, 1,000 Broken Fang. If you sold them all at once for buy orders and just started listing them on the market, there's a pretty decent chance you're going to get banned. So this is something I think Valve and CSGO just needs to fix in general on the community market and isn't really acceptable and is really pushing people away from one selling on the community market, when for cases and whatnot, it's the easiest place to do it. It's making people want to go towards third-party sites and cash trades. Now, our first real question up here, not any comment, is from Mike, and he says, how do you feel about Cologne 2014 stickers? I really like them, but would like some inputs. So I've gotten this question a lot about other stickers throughout the years, this past couple of months, a lot of Berlin 2019, even RMR, which we will touch on later in the video. But for me, it just really doesn't do it. I'm not a huge fan. The main reason being there's a newer and also way cheaper alternative, that of course being Katowice 2019. The circular design is definitely one of probably the least my favorites in CSGO, and this is the problem with older stickers that aren't Katowice 2014, is there's just better, newer, and cheaper alternative stickers that look identical. Kato 19 is a prime example. It's cheaper, it looks better than Cologne in my opinion. Though you don't have some of the same teams, the Dignitas sticker is, for example, a one-off. It's alright, the holo anyway, because the only other ones that are holo that actually look good are from Katowice 2014. As a crafting perspective, definitely unique. You'd have that unique inventory, but as an investment, like you just picking up the stickers, even the capsules themselves, the capsules right now, in my opinion, are kind of overpriced. A lot of people have been using them on crafts, which I guess could lead to a good investment, but you've really missed that initial hype from this past like 6 or 7 months when they started going up a lot because of that Dignitas holo. Now, our next question up here is regarding Rio Major investments. This is from F1 CSGO. Possibly no one wanted them or to open them because they were holding off and hoping for an operation. And I replied to this saying an operation ain't coming. Now, some context to this question is 24 hours after the Rio sale got removed, we did a video kind of my final thoughts with one investing, buying, but mainly selling because the prices went up. And if most of you don't know, Rio was one of the worst, if not the least performing majors when it comes to sticker sales in the past 5 years, if so ever. Application rates are the lowest they've ever been. People just weren't interested. People not buying them or opening them because of an operation. One, I don't think an operation is coming anytime soon, which will probably be a video on its own because the Anubis collection has to come soon, and we just got the Revolution case, and with the major only being a couple months away, we're gonna have to get the operation if one were to come in the next month, and that's not enough time for people to really unbox this new case, get the skins in the market, but also for Valve to make this money. The timeline just doesn't really add up. People didn't buy or invest into Rio because you can't go from the 2 best looking major stickers of all time for an insanely affordable price to a blob and bushy look that was Rio. It just doesn't happen, and I think Valve has probably finally learned their lessons on that. Our next question is also regarding Rio 2022 investments, specifically holding until the Paris major. Is it worth investing now if you don't want to hold for the long term and just hold until the Paris major because it's not worth holding for the short term? And I respond to this and say it's extremely risky. I would just move on. With Rio 2022, you had little over 2 months to buy these things and over 3 with the full sale of these things to open them and just buy them. If you didn't buy any or invest in any, it's not that big of a deal. Just move on and wait for the next big best thing. So this is kind of like my biggest gripe with Rio right now. Because the sale got removed, there's not a whole lot on the market. Everyone's now all of a sudden starting to like these stickers, which I don't think that's fully the case. I have an argument that I think RMR looks better than Rio. That's just me. I do think some Rio stickers look really good. For an example, I think the 9Z and the Fnatic look great, but things like the Mouse and the Cloud9, they're good, but they're good for what they are. They're a budget alternative to Stockholm and Antwerp, and that's what I think they'll be at least for the next couple of months until Paris. If you have any of these things right now, especially if you need it, I would probably sell off right now. That's just me. That is just my opinion. You're kind of playing an even bigger risk here of holding for a longer time than you were investing into it originally. Rio just doesn't have the time to grow that other majors have. You take Stockholm, for instance, it took almost a year and a half for us to reach these new all-time highs and for them to stay that way at $40+ for the most holo. Even though the quantity was the lowest we've seen in any major, they were also extremely cheap and really good looking. It's going to be just a couple more days until we see what actually happens to Rio specifically. With trade locks ending, people are going to be able to start to sell these things on the market and third-party sites like Buff, and I would say in the next 2 weeks, we'll get a really good idea if this market was actually inflated or not. At this moment in time, I would just move on and go into older things. Our next question up here is from Anders, not the CSGO commentator, but a guy on YouTube. Keep or sell your Riptide cases now. I've been holding on to them since the beginning. Well, I gotta say congrats to you because a lot of people probably would have sold in your position at this moment. So if you've been holding since the beginning, you've made some pretty good profit. There's currently 5,000 on the market for $2.55. You scroll down, these had an all-time low of like 50 cents on the market, a little under that, have had an all-time high at $2.90. Now the case itself really isn't that great. The Reds, mainly the AK, is one of the cheapest main rifle Reds in a case that's recent anyway that I have seen in years, if so ever. Most likely this is due to the fact that this is one of the least popular AK skins we've had in CSGO. The Ocean Drive is decent, the pinks are alright, but they're still not that expensive. The knives is mainly driving people to open this case. But of course they're also in the Dreams and Nightmares case, which is still actively dropping. And I think at this moment in time, it's actually a little more profitable to open that than the Riptide. So unless you're going for one of these individual skins to beat the highest or lowest float, really doesn't make a whole lot of sense for you to open this thing, unless you're getting a hell of a bargain for it. That being said, if you're happy with your profits, I would possibly wait for another all-time high because we're probably going to see one because cases keep going up. I would probably sell then. It's just for me a lot of capital to have on hand, especially let's just say if you don't have a lot of money into CS, that's all you have, or it's a big portion of what you have. You could be going into other things or waiting for the market to go down when you sell at this all-time high to go in with a cheap amount of money and make the most amount of it in a pretty short period of time, if that makes any sense whatsoever. Now, in the next couple of years, I definitely see this case becoming pretty expensive, but it's going to take some time to, one, die down the quantity in the Dreams and Nightmares, but also two, to have people unbox this case. and really there's no big incentive to want to unbox this right now. That's just from my perspective. Let me know what you guys think down below. Our next comment up here is regarding agents and having patches on their gloves and even bracelets in the game. Wouldn't it be interesting if we had watch and bracelet skins for the agents like Daryl? Even tattoos, question mark. So bracelets and tattoos I think are pretty niche. I'm gonna say that right now. I don't know if Valve will go around this. I think it's probably just gonna come standard with an agent in the future like we had with Sir Bloody Miami Daryl. I just feel like having its own capsule or case is like really niche, and it's like going towards a very strict audience. Watches though, I definitely could see get added to the game eventually. Maybe you have a team watch. Maybe if you participate in the pick 'em for the major, you get one. Just an idea. Not sure how that would work. But since we're talking about customization of agents, I want to talk about patches. At this moment in time, patches are extremely useless. You can't see them in game. Not that you can't see your agents in game. You can, in fact. They change up your sleeves. They give your character personality. They differentiate you from everyone else in the lobby. And you also have different voice lines. What I thought could be pretty cool, maybe with not existing agents, but future ones, which definitely would help the supply and demand of patches, is to put patches either on your wrists or your gloves. Now, with that being said, if that did happen, I don't think the crappy, and for an example, a lot of the Stockholm patches are going to go up. A prime example of this. I don't think people are going to want the base versions of a Copenhagen Flames patch on their gloves in game, let alone put a patch on their gloves anyway. It's one going to take away from the gloves, really, unless you're having something like Nox, because it's one just base color. And I would say really the only OG and hype beast, I guess is the best word, like the Crown Foil and the Howling Dawn patch. Maybe some others along the way would be very successful in this sense, but that's the kind of direction I see Valve going, possibly with the next operation or sometime when we get agents in the future. It'd benefit them and also give us players a lot more customization. And if you don't want to add them, you don't have to. At the moment, applying patches to agents is pretty useless. There's obviously the main factor that you can't see them, but the majority of agents, if it's not one of the coverts or is like a Navy SEAL type of guy where they have the big scuba tank on, you can't put it in the front. You put them in very small places on your agent you can barely see. Number K and Sally is an example. Patches have gotten a little bit pricey because there's so little of them, but there's also little demand. Let me know what you guys think down below. Our next question up here is from Rube, and it's regarding RMR. Do you think RMR can be profitable if you buy them now? So I'm assuming you're going to be talking about the capsules, and that's what I'll look into right now. So the capsules at this moment in time are actually profitable, which is pretty crazy. All these capsules have almost been to 30 cents in the past couple of weeks. Now, reasons for this: Rio just came off the sale. There's not any new stickers in the shop, and the ones that are relatively pretty expensive. I think RMR right now, if you're on a very, very strict budget, is definitely the best budget alternative towards anything in the market. Even Stockholm, Antwerp, Rio is arguable. That's just my opinion. Now, buying and investing these things right now is a completely different path. Very similar to how we discussed with the Riptide cases, that said person holding them at this moment. I think you have to have a lot of capital, so a lot of money, to buy these things and are able to afford to hold them for up to 4 or 5 years to make a few dollars profit. Obviously, they'll probably be a little more, but you get my point. You could use that money and go into something else and make a little more money when the market dips. Like cases are a prime example. If you buy in at the right time, they're an absolute gold mine. RMR is an event and an investment a lot of people want to forget about, but they're getting a lot more attention because one, stickers have been bad this past year. We haven't gotten a lot of them anyway, like an operation, and they're not as bad as people are saying. So to answer your question as it goes right now, I would not go into it. That's just me. Not worth the risk, but it's less of a risk, but more of a wait, I would say, more than anything. Now, our last question up here is from Jack Charles. He says, do you think patches are next? With agent prices going up, will they justify the price of patches? So if you guys are unfamiliar, I posted a video on agents going up quite a bit, the history behind them, buying and selling them now. They'd be going up a very substantial amount. Now with that, a lot of people are coming to the table saying, well, aren't patches going to be next because agents are going up? That's the only thing you can apply patches to. The no-brainer answer is yes, of course, but then you run into a whole bunch of problems with that. Number one is the demand for these things is extremely low. I have a whole video dedicated to patches and my problems with them, mainly with investing. There's so little of them that you can buy so many up, and we've seen this with the mouse. Someone has gone on Steam and bought all of them or a very large amount, sold them or tried to sell them for whatever they want at over $60. No one bought them, so they had to lower the price and it's back down to normal. And of course, unless you have a certain special agent, you're not really even gonna be able to see the patches either. So I don't think patches are one gonna be heavily bought into, applied very much, unless in the next operation, for an example, they have agents that have wrist patches or glove patches where you can actually see them in game. And that of course runs into a bunch of problems. That pretty much wraps up today for Mando Monday. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. Let me know what you guys think down below. If you have questions regarding for anything next week, feel free to leave it down in the comment section, and also to help out anybody in these certain scenarios like we answered today. Stay positive, stay sexy. I'm out, guys. Peace.